we're going to be doing a superhero draft with the Marvel and DC superheroes. So, Darwin, do you want to explain what's going on?
Okay, so I got this idea of like picking actors, kind of like the NFL or the NBA draft from the Infinity podcast, but they only talked about it for like 15 minutes when they really could have gone farther. So I had this idea that I could represent DC and then Nathan can represent Marvel. And we would pick actors to play certain roles, just like the NFL draft. So the rules is that any actor is up to us to pick, unless they just appeared in a superhero movie from at like the last time they would have had to appear in a superhero movie was 2 to 3 years ago, and it couldn't have been like a super major role. Like I couldn't pick like like Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans or anything. I know they're not even in the time constraint, but like we can't pick the big guys. All right,
Mm-hmm.
and any actor is up to pick unless they still have a contract with their company. So
Okay.
other than that, like any actor's up to grab. So
All right. So, do you want me to go ahead and start, or do you want to start, or are we gonna flip a coin or something?
let's flip a coin. I don't have a coin with me, but I
Okay.
can.
You can use your phone.
I'm gonna
Ask
flip my phone.
ask Siri.
Okay.
No, ask Siri to flip a coin.
I don't even know if I have Siri on my phone anymore. Alright, I think I turned it off. I'm just gonna flip my phone onto my bed. Alright, the screen is gonna be you, and
Okay.
the pop socket is gonna be me. Okay, I'm gonna flip it.
Okay.
It's you.
Okay. So, let's see. The first name that I have on my list is Namor. And
Ooh.
for Namor, I choose Sam Whitmer. Whitwer, not Whitmer. Whitwer.
Who is that?
He's the guy who voices Darth Maul, and he plays Starkiller in The Force Unleashed.
Ooh.
Sam Whitwer.
Mm-hmm.
He can do so many different voices, you know. Like he's mainly a voice actor, but like
Mm-hmm.
I think he could do a really good job, and he kind of looks like Namor too. So I think that would be really cool. And if not him, then I put down Pedro Pascal because he kind of.
That would be cool.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I don't know if I'm just saying that because I think he's cool in The Mandalorian or what. Okay. Uh, so I think I should explain this a little bit. So Ben Affleck isn't playing Batman,
Right.
but Robert Pattinson is. But the problem with that is Robert Pattinson's Batman, that's a standalone movie, and that has nothing to do with Wonder Woman, Aquaman, or Superman. So my first big task was to cast Batman, a Batman that would be able to go toe to toe with Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and Jason Momoa,
Right.
and that would be around the same age as Ben Affleck. And my first pick, it took me forever, but once I figured it out, like I can't see anyone else, but I picked Gerard Butler.
Mm-hmm.
He's from the 300, and he plays
Yeah.
the main guy. I don't remember his name, but he's intimidating. He can get huge. He can get to that size,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also played the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera. So I mean, he can do the dark and brooding that Batman does.
Yeah.
And ever since I figured that out, like I can't see anyone else.
I think that's
So
a
that.
really good pick. Yeah.
Mhm. And like he can do intimidating. I feel like he could be able to pull off the detective. Ever since I figured out, like I can't see anyone else, and that's my number one pick.
All right.
So
So now it's my turn.
yeah.
The next character I have is Miles Morales, and the actor that I have for Miles is Jonathan Davis, and he he was recently in the Netflix original show Outer Banks. He plays
Mhm.
one of the main characters, but like in that show, they're supposed to be like 16 years old, and Jonathan Davis looks. He's like one of the only characters in the show that actually like looks that young, kind of that could pass for a teenager, and so
Mhm.
I think that's pretty important. And he looks like what I would picture Miles Morales as. So I think he looks the
Mhm.
part, and I mean, I really liked the acting job that he did in the show. So
Honestly, I only think it's a matter of time because of how popular Into the
hmm
Spider-Verse was. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before he does make the jump to uh,
live action,
live action.
yeah, for sure. All right.
Uh, so my second pick is for Lex Luthor.
Uh huh.
Now, I don't know if Jesse Eisenberg is gonna come back. I really hope he doesn't, because I just did not like him in Batman v Superman. I think he's left a really bad taste in everyone's mouth. So I thought just wipe it clean and pick someone else.
Mhm.
And my pick for Lex Luthor is Rainn Wilson, who is Dwight Schrute in The Office. Now, okay, so you think that's a dumb decision, right? At first, when you
No,
first hear it,
I can totally see that.
yeah. But he actually voiced Lex Luthor in a DC animated movie, and he did a good job.
That's awesome.
You know, I feel like he could pull off the dark and like mysterious and intelligent guy because he already is kind of that as Dwight.
Mhm.
But he would just get rid of the comedy, and if you watch Dwight and like think, okay, he's being dead serious, like this isn't like this is actually. I mean, he is dead serious in the show, but if you don't look at it from a comedic point of view, and you picture him bald, I think he would, even if he had hair still, I think he would still be so much better as Lex Luthor than Jesse Eisenberg. But
Mhm. Yeah, and you said he already played the part before, so
hmm
he can get into character, or should be able to get into character pretty quickly. So,
for sure.
um, let's see. The next person I have is Craven the Hunter,
Ooh.
and the person that I think should play Craven is Luke Evans. You know, Bard from The Hobbit.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
Yeah, that's who I want for Craven the Hunter.
He would be great. I'm kind of frustrated because I wanted him to play one of my villains, but that's a spot on, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I'm really proud of that
That,
one.
yeah, that's a good pick. I'm honestly surprised he hasn't been in a superhero movie yet,
hmm He's
but
he's got the build. I mean,
he can definitely pull it off.
he played Gaston, so he's got the build
hmm
for it, and he looks. I mean, he doesn't quite look like Craven the Hunter, but it wouldn't take much to make him look that way. So, I think.
Yeah, if he would beef up, just kept the facial hair, boom, there you go.
hmm
You know, just put him in the lion skin or whatever. But that's a good pick. That's a good pick. For my number three is Mara. Now, Amber Heard, the actress who played Mara, one, I think she did a terrible job. She was easily the worst actor, uh, worst performance in the Aquaman movie, I think.
hmm
And also, she's in like a crazy lawsuit with Johnny Depp because apparently she was really like physically abusive with him and like
Yikes.
chopped off a piece of his ear or something crazy. She's not a nice lady. So my pick for Mara is Emily Blunt. She can pull off the royalty, she can pull off the intelligence, and I think she's just an amazing actress. Emily Blunt is probably my favorite actress because she has such great range, and I
Man,
think she could pull it off so well.
I'm mad that you chose her.
Let me guess.
No.
Let me guess. You wanted her to be Invisible Woman, didn't you?
Yes. Uh, dang it. I didn't have anybody else like set aside to be Susan Storm. It was only
But
her. Uh,
my other pick would be Amelia Clark,
mhm.
and she was in
I can
Game
see
of
that. Yeah.
Thrones and she was in Solo. And so like I'm kind of torn between the two, but I think ultimately Emily Blunt would be better. And also I don't think Amelia Clark is doing big franchise stuff right now,
No.
especially after what happened with Game of Thrones and Solo. So I really think Emily Blunt is the way to go.
Okay. Um. Next, I have Mrs. or not Mrs. but Miss Marvel, the Kamala Khan version, and
Hmm.
I don't necessarily know the actors that I chose a whole lot. I know the movie that one of them's from, but I chose these people because they look the part, and then I read kind of like an overview of the characters that they played, and I think that these people would work for Kamala Khan, and that's
Hmm.
Geraldine Viswanathan. I hope I didn't butcher that pronunciation. And then the other one is Sophia Taylor Ali, and I think Sophia Taylor Ali looks more of the part for Kamala Khan, but
Hmm.
either one of those would work, I think.
I'm honestly, that's another one of those that I think is just a matter of time because
Hmm.
she is like a young, youthful character, and they would also just having Kamala Khan and then like Tom Holland Spider-Man interact
Hmm.
would be it would be gold. And then to have her interact with what's Black Panther's little sister?
Is it Surrey or
Yeah,
something?
Suri. If you have those three together in a movie, absolute gold.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of time. But my number four pick is the one that it came to me out of the blue, and I am so freaking proud of it.
Hmm.
So, if you haven't heard, Ezra Miller
Yeah.
also is in a scandal right now because he got drunk and attacked a lady at a bar. So my pick for Barry Allen Flash is Donald Glover.
Hmm.
Oh, I think he would be great as the Flash because he can play smart. If you've seen The Martian, he has a role in that. It's kind of a smaller part, but he plays like the guy who comes up with the idea to save like Matt Damon. So
Hmm.
he can pull off the smartness that Barry Allen has. But I mean, if you watch Community, you know he's funny. He's one of the funniest characters, and if you combine the smartness and that humor and turn it into wit, which Donald Glover would definitely be able to do because he's a really talented actor,
Yeah.
I think he would be the best Barry Allen that we could get. And I think he would be absolutely great. But if I couldn't get Donald Glover, I'd pick Joe Keery,
Yeah.
Steve from Stranger Things, because I think
I
I don't
can
know,
I can definitely see that. Yeah.
I think he would be able to go to toe with a lot of the other actors, and he's also really funny. He just needs to play a little bit smarter, and I think he definitely could do a good job. But Donald Glover is my big pick for the Flash.
Yeah, I really like that choice. That's good.
Hmm.
Let's see. Next, I have Nova, and
Hmm.
to play Nova, I have Kit Harington, and he's kind of a bit older.
Hmm.
Um, but I think with that age brings experience, and
Uh, is it Richard Rider or Sam Alexander?
hmm.
Is it the there's like two Novas. There's Sam Alexander who is the younger one, and there's Richard Rider who is like the older character.
Pro,
Which one?
uh, I was thinking of the younger one, kind of.
Hmm.
So, but that's who I have for. He kind of I don't know. I don't really know of Kit Harington a lot, but he
Hmm.
kind of looked the part, and then I think uh, that his age could bring something to the table. So
Fun fact: him and I share the same birthday
really,
because our sophomore year in history class, whenever we had to look up celebrities who had the same birthday, he was literally the only one. So I don't know. I
yeah,
mean, all I know about him is that he was in Game of Thrones. That's
yeah.
pretty much it.
I share a birthday with Anne
But
Frank.
oh,
I think
kind of
it's,
sad.
but it's kind of cool too.
It is. Um,
Anyways,
so my first four picks were kind of maintenance picks,
mhm,
trying to fix up some of the mistakes and some of the weird stuff that has happened over at DC. But from now on, for the next several picks, are just characters that I think could really fill in the universe and could make really interesting movies, or they need movies, or or just anything like that.
yeah,
Characters that deserve movies and could serve a greater part. And my number five pick is Green Lantern, the Hal Jordan version.
mhm,
And my pick is an actor who is literally almost on every fan cast pick. He's on almost every single one of them for any character, and it's in my pick for Green Lantern is Army Hammer. He looks like a superhero. Like, I'm honestly astounded that he hasn't been cast in literally every movie I've seen him in. He's probably been my favorite part. Like The Social Network, the movie about Mark Zuckerberg, he
mhm,
does a really good job in that. And because he's playing like a athletic, smart Harvard student, and he's also playing us two people because it's a set of twins.
yeah,
So that also works really well. And then if you watch Mirror Mirror, which is a Snow White movie, he plays Prince Charming, and he just has charisma and he has wit, and he's just like one of the best parts about that movie. And Hal Jordan is supposed to be a cocky, square-jawed pilot, and
yeah,
I really think Army Hammer could just pull it off so well, and he just looks like a superhero to me, you know. So that, and if I couldn't have him, I would just pick Liam Hemsworth
yeah.
because he looks the part, and I think it'd be funny if Chris Hemsworth's little brother played a DC superhero, but that's pretty much the only reason.
All right. So the next character I have is She-Hulk,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think Gina uh, Carano. I don't know how to pronounce it, but she's in The Mandalorian. She's the I can't remember her name, but
Oh,
she's
oh,
that one
oh!
person in The Mandalorian.
She comes in during the like, she's in like the pub, and they
Yep.
have like a little fight.
And Baby Yoda
I
drinks soup while they're fighting.
mm-hmm.
Yep, that
That
person.
that's a good pick. I've never thought about that.
Yep, that's who I choose. Hee hee.
You're just like, Baby Yoda. But
Slurping some soup. Just real
my
casual.
so this is a quick tangent. But the last time I was over at my grandma's house, I learned that she bought a Baby Yoda for herself just to hang out with, and I was like, "Oh my gosh,
I,
Grandma!"
I've thought about doing the same thing.
I was like, dang, why does she have the resources to get this Baby Yoda and I don't? But anyways,
I might get one.
I'm really considering it too. Okay. Anyways, my number six pick is Martian Manhunter,
Ooh.
and he's literally like almost on every list of characters that need movies or should be in movies, and he can also just fill out the Justice League really well. And I mean, you also have another character to put into like the space. of the DC universe.
Yeah.
And if you look up like fan cast for Martian Manhunter, it's always Idris Elba or John Boyega or stuff like that. But I thought of one actor that I don't even know why I thought of him, but I picked Omar Sy,
Mhm.
and Omar Sy has never really. I'm sure at one point he has, but he's never been on the forefront of movies. He's always been playing the side character. Like, he played Bishop in Days of Future Past, and Bishop didn't have any lines. He is
Yeah.
totally wasted in that movie. And then in Jurassic World, he plays the Chris Pratt is like the main keeper of the Raptors. He plays the assistant, and he has like the accent because the actor is like is French, and Martian Manhunter usually has like an accent. So I think Omar Sy, just like make him green, put him in the costume, and he could pull off the calm collectedness of Martian Manhunter. So
Yeah. All right. So this next one's the one I was talking about, Darwin.
mm-hmm.
The one that I
Okay.
think you'll like, but I don't know if this is who you thought I would choose.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Moon Knight, right?
Okay.
Adam Driver.
Oh my gosh. I think he could do it.
Yeah.
I think he could definitely do it. That's really good. I've never thought about that
Mhm.
before.
Yeah.
I, th- I really like Moon Knight. Moon Knight is probably like, I don't know, he's probably in my top 25 superheroes, and I think Adam Driver could pull off every personality
Mhm.
really well just because he has such great range. And that's a really good pick because every time I've looked at fan casting, it's always Jake Gyllenhaal
Right.
or Christian Bale, but I've never thought about Adam Driver.
I'm
I
gonna
think
I'm gonna
that
pause
that's a,
my game and talk for a little bit because it's hard to
okay.
concentrate on both the game and talking at the same time. But like
Mm-hmm.
as we were talking about this whole list, I was thinking to myself, okay, you're not gonna pick Adam Driver for any of these roles whatsoever. And you know, I didn't see him on any of the cast listings on the internet or anything, but I was like so certain that I wasn't gonna put Adam Driver on the list, just because like Adam Driver is one of my favorite actors, and I don't know, like I didn't feel like superheroes would necessarily be his kind of thing to do, but when I got to Moon Knight on my list, I was like, man, I'm not sure who should play this. And then I kind of took a break from like looking at casting choices, and I scrolled across a picture of Adam Driver. I was like, it has to be Adam Driver playing Moon Knight. It just has to.
Okay.
So
Whenever I put in a lot of work into this list, and I was thinking, I was trying to pick actors I didn't think he would pick, and I was like, I can't cast Adam Driver in anything because I know Nathan will pick him. Because I was like, I think he could play Lex Luthor, and then I was like, no, Nathan will pick Adam Driver right off the gate. Like, there's no way. But then I thought of Rainn Wilson, and I was like, yeah, no way. But yeah, that's a good pick, and it's a pick I didn't expect. So that's a really good one.
yeah.
So, my number 7 pick is Zatanna. Now, Zatanna is like a magician. Zatara or whatever is her father and is the one who taught her magic. I think she's in the Justice League Dark. And she's also in Young Justice, which is a cartoon that, honestly, Young Justice is better than Teen Titans.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, Zatanna, I picked. I have 2 picks. One is Allison Brie from Community,
Mm-hmm.
because she's been doing a lot of stuff here recently. Like, she's in a show called Glow. She's been in a couple different movies, and she's really filled out her filmography. And my other pick is Jenna Coleman, and Jenna Coleman plays Clara in Doctor Who. And so I've really gone back and forth. Like right now I'm going back and forth.
Mhm.
But I think as of right now, I think Alison Brie would be able to do it really well, because she's grown as an actress since Community,
Yeah.
and I haven't and even in the later seasons of Community, she matured really well, and I feel like she could really pull off not just the costume, but just like the kind of like the snarky, smart, confident attitude that Zatanna has, and yeah, so. And also, that's adding in more magic to the DC universe, so that's why I picked Zatanna. So
Nice. The next I have is Adam Warlock. And for Adam Warlock, I picked Jared Padalecki. He really looks like him. I haven't. He's in. What's the show he's in?
Supernatural.
Yes, that's it. And so
See,
I don't know.
I like Supernatural,
Mhm.
but he's definitely not the best part of the show. I'm also only on like season 3,
Yeah.
and there's like 12 seasons of it, so I don't really know how he's matured in the show. But I'd be willing to see him in a superhero movie.
I don't really know much about him as an actor, but he really looks the part, and so I knew he was in Supernatural, and a lot of people like that show, so that's why I chose him.
Yeah, if they did cast him in that part, I feel like a lot of people would just jump right on board, because he is really popular because of Supernatural. But okay, my number 8 pick is Hawk Girl. And in the old Justice League cartoon, she plays a huge part. She was in DC's Legends of Tomorrow, which I don't personally like, and she's always more interesting than Hawkman, so I mean Hawk Girl I think just fits better. And for her part, she's a little bit younger, but Olivia Cook, and she played Artemis in Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And she played I can't remember her name, but she was the girl who had cancer in Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. And she was easily the best part of both of those movies. I feel like she could pull, and she's really good at playing confident characters. So characters that can hold their own, and I feel like if you put her in this situation of playing this character on the Justice League, I think she would just surprise everyone and exceed everyone's expectations, and I think she would just do great. She's a little on the younger side, but I don't think that's that big of a deal, especially for this character, because her character reincarnates every time she dies, so I mean she can just be closer to having just been reincarnated. So
right, I think that's a good pick. Yeah,
I think she would work. So
okay, so the next one I've had the most trouble with trying to figure out who should play this character, and that's Silver Surfer. And I didn't want to be the one to pick Idris Elba, even though the casting choices suggested Idris Elba, but it also suggested like Vin Diesel, but I couldn't really see that. And The Rock was on there too. I couldn't really see that either.
For sure not. But
so with Silver Surfer, I'm gonna go with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah, I don't know. He's one of those actors that I really like watching, and I don't think he gets enough credit. So like, I think this could really be like a one of those bigger roles that can get him out there more.
Hmm. I mean, we talked about this a little bit before the show, and I agree. I agree. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like, I think he can pretty much pull off anything he wants to.
Hmm.
So I think that's a good pick, not to even just to fill out his filmography and make him better well known.
Hmm.
So
Because he's in a lot of movies, a lot
yeah,
of good
for
movies
sure.
too, but I don't think
Hmm.
he's not necessarily given the spotlight in most of those, and I think that's kind of it's a shame because he's a really good actor.
Hmm. I mean, he's always seen as like, oh, that's the one guy, or
Hmm.
that's that guy. Because I
He's
mean,
like a side
nobody like
character.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah, everyone knows his name, but not everyone is able to put a face with his name unless you're like, oh yeah, he played this in this movie, you
Hmm.
know. But I think that's a really solid pick. But um, my my ninth pick is Doctor Fate. Uh, it's for me. It was you kind of need a someone that like can. So Marvel has Doctor Strange. We have Zatanna, but I also thought, why not just bring in Doctor Fate? He's a fan favorite character.
Hmm.
I think he could work well with movies. I think maybe not one for his own, but he definitely would be able to bounce off other characters the same way Doctor Strange does.
Hmm.
But my pick for Doctor Fate is Bryan Cranston, and I feel like he could pull off that because there's like pretty much with Doctor Fate there's two characters. There's the guy under the helmet, and then there's Doctor Fate. And the one under the helmet is supposed to be like an older guy who's been Doctor Fate for a really long time. And Bryan Cranston, it can be sarcastic and kind of cranky,
Hmm.
but he can also be really caring. Because I watched Trumbo like last week, and it's about Dalton Trumbo, who was a screenwriter during the 50s, and he was a communist, and he was red listed. He went to jail, and that's what the movie's about.
Yeah.
And he plays Trumbo, and he's absolutely great in that movie. But yeah, that's who I pick. I
Okay.
think he'd be really great.
Yeah. The next person. Excuse me. Next person on my list is Wolverine, and you already know I'm gonna pick Richard Armitage. So,
Oh yeah, for sure. I
without a doubt.
specifically, I specifically didn't cast him as anything because I was like, I want him to play Wolverine too much because I know we've talked about it before, and I'm
Oh
like,
yes.
he has to play Wolverine.
So Richard Armitage is for sure Wolverine. Okay.
And he voiced Wolverine in like a radio drama that you can get on like Apple Podcast.
Yeah.
So
Hold on. I thought I turned this down. This is really loud. Okay. I apologize for this. We're gonna get out of. Okay. Now we're good.
okay. I'm telling you, Richard Armitage,
Mm-hmm.
Marvel, you need to listen up.
Richard Armitage. That's who
He
Wolverine
was
is.
he
It's gotta be.
was in he was in the first Avenger because he was that one Nazi who shot the scientist, but really that doesn't matter. He can just give him the side chops, put
Mm-hmm.
him in the leather jacket or the orange and yellow suit. He would use camera angles to make him look short like they did in The Hobbit. Boom. There you go. Honestly, I think he could have a performance that rivals Hugh Jackman.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I believe Richard Armitage is the way to go with a new Wolverine. Now, like Daniel Radcliffe was another name that was thrown out with the cast suggestions that I think could work actually. But definitely Richard Armitage.
Yeah, well, the thing with Daniel Radcliffe is we talked about this a little bit earlier, is that I think he has the acting chops, but he would just have to undergo so much training just to get huge, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Hugh Jackman wasn't always ginormous or super ripped playing Wolverine, but I mean, if you're gonna go for the short and stocky, because I mean, Hugh Jackman is like 6 foot something, you know, he's
Hmm.
tall, and he was like tall and lean. But if you're gonna do the short, stocky, like 5'6", 5'5", I don't know how tall Daniel Radcliffe is, but if you're gonna go for the short, stocky Wolverine, he needs to be huge. He can't be a small, skinny guy. He can't look like Peter Parker. You
Right.
know, he has to be huge. You know, but I mean, Richard Armitage is just the way to go. But
Yeah. We've talked enough about Richard Armitage, though, so
okay,
let's move
okay.
on.
So my number 10 pick, and this character is my favorite DC character of all time. I I'm you have no idea how hard it was for me to not be like my number one pick for this character. It's Nightwing. Nightwing is my favorite DC character, and is probably my second favorite superhero of all time. And for him, it's one that everyone has said, it's on every list, and I agree full-heartedly, and that's Zac Efron.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of people, even though he is on quite a few lists, they are kind of skeptical because of High School Musical. But honestly, that was such a long time ago, and he's grown as an actor.
So much, too. Like,
He
it's...
really has. But he he can pull off that smug pretty boy that Dick Grayson, the Nightwing, has, and he can get ripped. He can get built really fast. You know, he's just he would look so good in the Nightwing suit.
Hmm.
I know he doesn't have black hair like traditionally Nightwing has, but honestly, I think he would just work so well as the character. And also, I feel like just him sparring with Gerard Butler as Batman, it would be iconic. I think it would work just so well. And honestly, Nightwing belongs in the DC EU or the DC movie universe or whatever.
I
I just
honestly
think,
don't understand why he's not in it yet. But
yeah, he's literally you just have a scene. Literally, they could have done this in Batman v Superman, where they're like, where Alfred is like, "Well, when's the last time you talked to Dick?" And then Batman is like, "Well, we haven't talked in so many years." Blah blah blah.
hmm.
Whatever. Literally, just I'm surprised he hasn't even been mentioned. Anyways, it's ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. Anyways,
All right.
uh, yeah. You're okay. Go.
So the
Your
next
turn.
person I have is Professor X. And by the way, the rest of these names that I'm gonna list off are X-Men and Fantastic Four, just because the the license was recently acquired, and so these will most likely be happening pretty soon. But Professor X, I have Jude Law.
Ooh, he was just in Captain Marvel.
He was. I didn't watch
Yeah,
Captain
he.
Marvel, so that's dang. Um, but yes, I would like him to be Professor X. So
Yeah. Do you have like a backup
I do
because he
not.
doesn't fit in the? Ooh. Okay. Let. Okay.
We can let it slide, right? Just this once.
I I don't know. Okay, it depends. Are you doing? Is he gonna be playing a younger Professor X, or is he gonna be old Professor X?
The older one, I think would
Okay.
work.
Well, okay, a better question is how do you think they should incorporate X-Men into the MCU?
That's a good question because it's really difficult to kind of figure that out just because the MCU's been around for so long now, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of weird um, to have that been going on for a long time, and then just out of nowhere, oh look, it's the X-Men. Um, so
Because I
I
mean,
don't know.
they've gotten away with it with Black Panther, like, oh, it's a secret country
Hmm.
or a country that doesn't do like world affairs, or Captain Marvel. She was off doing other space stuff, so that's why she wasn't around.
I think
But I mean, with the X-Men, it's a little bit different. It's a whole group of people that are very intrinsically tied just to the history of the Marvel universe, so I don't know how well that's gonna work
I think
translating.
one of the ways they could bring it in is because like the mutants, um, it's kind of like it's not necessarily a good thing to be a mutant in the minds of the regular people. So maybe it's just that they've been hiding out because they don't want to bring chaos into the world by their existence being known. So that's one of the ways I think that could work out. Or maybe just have them working on smaller foes that aren't uh, endangering the entire planet, so or a whole country at all. I don't know. That's a really difficult uh, thing to figure out, and if Marvel's gonna bring them into the universe, it has to be a well thought out explanation for that. So that's an interesting question.
See, I've thought about this a lot, and Xavier's mansion is supposed to be in upstate New York,
Hmm.
but the new Avengers mansion is also in upstate New York. So I don't. If they're going to do it, they need to change where their hideout is. I had an idea of in the comic books. I'm sorry, but I don't remember the name of the island. But like Magneto establishes an island specifically for mutants to live on.
Hmm.
And I know this isn't accurate to the comic books, but I was thinking, why not just have that island be dedicated where like the Xavier's mansion is, or it could be like Xavier's Island or whatever. Just I don't know, like I feel like that would kind of work
Yeah.
better than be like, oh yeah, they were just down the road from the Avengers mansion or whatever. But
Yeah. All right. So what's your next pick?
um okay, so my next pick, so these characters, the show has just ended like last year, and I think the public would be more susceptible to a movie led by this character, and that's Green Arrow.
Hmm.
And say what you will about the Arrow show, whether you love it or you hate it, but Stephen Amell doesn't play what like Oliver Queen like has been established like in the comic books and in the cartoons, because for the CW show, you can definitely tell they wanted to tell a darker like superhero story.
Hmm.
But in the comic books, Green Arrow is funny. He's cracking jokes. He has an arrow with a boxing glove. He's flirting with Black Canary. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's honestly so much more entertaining in the comic books, and he's not an off-brand Batman
Hmm.
like he is in the show. But my pick is, and this is something that every fan cast list has, but I didn't really consider him like an actual prospect until I saw a movie he was in. But Charlie Hunnam, and the reason I picked him is, one, he looks the part to a T, and I watched the King Arthur Legend of the Sword movie,
Yeah.
which I hate. I hated that movie so much. It was so bad, but my favorite part was just watching Charlie Hunnam act, beat up people, and for some reason King Arthur knows kung fu in that movie. But anyways, he was snarky, and he was sarcastic, and he was witty and flirty, all of the things that Oliver Queen needs to be, and especially if they're gonna bring him to the big screen, I think he would. I think he would really work, and I feel like he would bounce off of the other characters that have already been casted and the characters that I've already we've done in this fan cast, like Army Hammer.
Yeah.
I feel like they would have a good back and forth because Green Lantern and Green Arrow are supposed to be friends, and I don't know. I just think it would work really well. So that's my number 11, my 11th pick.
hmm This next pick, I'm not sure if you'd agree with it, but I thought it would be really interesting, and that's Magneto being played by Ben Mendelsohn.
Uh,
He,
what's he in? I
he's
can't picture.
he's the main bad guy in Rogue One, and he's also in one of the Dark Knight movies. I think it's the last one.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
but yes, that is who I
it
picked.
would it would be interesting, but I don't think he would be as sympathetic as Magneto is supposed to be,
hmm
if that makes sense. But I mean, I think it would be interesting.
Yeah.
But it really just depends how good of chemistry him and Professor X have. It really just depends on that because the original X-Men movie, even though they weren't super great, but Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart's chemistry and their back and forth is what made those characters iconic.
Oh
So I
yeah.
mean, if he can pull off sympathetic, if he can have a good chemistry with Professor X, then I think it will be okay.
And
But
that's one of the reasons. Like, I don't know. I thought that him and Jude Law would be able to pull off the Professor X and Magneto dynamic. So
hmm
that's why I have those two paired up.
but
So yeah, that's what I have. What's your next one?
okay, my 12th pick to go with Green Arrow is of course Black Canary. Uh, I don't think she was done as well as she could have been in the CW show. I don't know. I just don't think she played. I don't because she was played by a couple different actresses, but each time I feel like they just kind of missed the mark. And I've heard that she's in the Birds of Prey movie that came out,
hmm
but I I don't really know where that movie stands with the rest of the movies, and I don't really care about that. Anyways, but my pick for Black Canary is Diane Kruger. She was in National Treasure. She was in Inglorious Bastards,
Yeah.
and she has the charisma, and she can have a good back and forth with actors like Nicolas Cage.
hmm
Her and him have a really good back and forth and good chemistry, and I think she could pull. I think her and Charlie Hunnam would have a good chemistry that would be really entertaining and could easily carry several movies. And like I don't think people would get tired of watching them
hmm
because in the TV show I never cared about Black Canary or her relationship with Green Arrow, but I think it would really work here. But
That's a good pick.
so
I like that
mhm.
one. Yeah, that's good. Hold on, I lost my notes. Okay, the next person I have is Jean Grey, and
Mhm.
that's another character who I wasn't quite sure about who I had picked for them, but I have Jessica Chastain for Jean Grey. Now, you said you had a suggestion as well. What do you think? Who do you think
Um
should play Jean Grey?
I was thinking Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
I mean, she played Gwen Stacy in the Sam Raimi movies, but I mean, that was a long time ago. I think she could pull off like the caring side of Jean Grey and like the confidence and I don't know. I feel like she would be able to pull it off really well, and I think she would look the part. You
You
know.
know, I don't know why I didn't think of that. I like that casting choice a lot better. So Bryce Dallas Howard, that's who's gonna be Jean Grey.
And also, you kind of have to think about that dynamic that she would have with the actor for Wolverine
Mm-hmm.
and the actor for Cyclops. And I think Richard Armitage and her could develop a chemistry. I mean, I think she's always like the last movie, a lot of the movies she's been in, she's been being like back and forth with like Chris Pratt, or like she was in Rocket Man. She was playing Elton John's mom, and I don't know. I feel like they could develop a chemistry, but I feel like it would really have to be built over several movies.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely could work. I think her chemistry with Jude Law, especially Jude Law as Professor X, I feel like that would work really well. Like
Mm-hmm.
it would just click. It would just be like putting a puzzle piece in onto the puzzle, I guess. But
All right. So next one.
um I was gonna cast Luke Evans as Sinestro, and I don't have a backup, so I'm gonna move on to my next one. And don't laugh, it's not funny. I was really sold on him being Sinestro because he looks the part, and he could have pulled off being a villain really well. Anyways, my next pick was Bane, and when I was thinking of different villains and actors, it just jumped out at me out of the blue, and I'm gonna pick Florian Montagu. I hope I said his name right, but he plays Victor Drago's son in
Yeah.
Creed 2. He's huge. He can do like facial acting, like he does a lot in that movie. And I don't know, I just feel like he would just be a huge, intimidating presence, and just to watch him and Gerard Butler fight, and maybe he breaks his back, that would just be so cool. And I think it would, I don't know, I think it would really work.
I like
But
that pick. Yeah, that's a really good
yeah.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I have Cyclops. And for Cyclops, I think either Oscar Isaacs or Chris Pine would work well for Cyclops. I'm kind of leaning towards Chris Pine, though.
See, here's the thing. Chris Pine is in Wonder Woman 1984.
Mm-hmm.
So, and anyways, I think Oscar Isaacs would really work. I don't know, because like I feel like he would look the part.
I think both of them
also
really work well for the character.
But have you ever seen the movie Drive?
I have not.
Well, it's about this.
I don't think so, anyways.
So, like, a quick synopsis is Ryan Gosling. He's the main part, and he plays like a getaway driver for criminals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he becomes friends with his next door neighbor who has a son, and her husband is in jail, played by Oscar Isaacs, and he comes back, and there's this scene where you can kind of tell that he's kind of suspicious of Ryan Gosling, and just like that tension they have would work really well for him and Wolverine, you know. And it would, especially if it's Richard Armitage, I really feel like there could be a ferocity between those two, and it would work really well. And also, I feel like he could play he's already played a leader in the Star Wars movies, so I don't know. I feel like Oscar Isaacs is the better choice.
Then it is Oscar we will pick.
Yeah, since like Chris Pine is out. I can't tell you how annoyed I am that the people who cast superhero movies waste big stars that could easily play a different superhero, like Chris Pine. You know, he would be such a good Green Lantern or Flash. Put him on somewhere else as a hero, and he would work so much better. anyways. But
All right. So what's your next pick?
my next pick is the Riddler. And for this one, this is a one that I've gone back and forth on a lot, and I think I'm gonna go with Christoph Waltz because just watching him in Django and oh my gosh, what's the other one? What's the other Quentin Tarantino? Oh, and Inglourious Bastards. He plays the Jew hunter in Inglourious Bastards, and then the German dentist bounty hunter in Django.
Mm-hmm.
And he could pull off, like, I think he could pull off a darker Riddler because he has the charisma of being nice, but sometimes, like, almost everything, like, he can pull off that dialogue that just sounds like poetry, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it would work really well. And I don't know, I just once I thought of him, I couldn't think of anyone else. But
The next character I have is Storm. And for Storm, I think Naomi Harris would work really well to play her.
who is that?
She's in a lot of stuff. She's in Skyfall, Moonlight, the Mowgli movie that's on Netflix, I believe. Rampage, the Lego Movie 2, I believe, is another movie that she's in. There's so many different movies that she's in. I think, oh, what is it? There's hold on, let me look real quick. I don't know, but I think she looks the part too, so that works really well, I think. Who do you have next?
Next I have Red Hood, Jason Todd. Now, Red Hood is one of my favorite characters in the DC universe, and just like the Bat family in general. So, I remember I had heard someone say this as their pick, and I was always kind of leery about it until I watched him in Rocket Man, and that's Taron Egerton. He, I don't know if I think it shouldn't be a problem for him to do an American accent or anything, but he can play off that, like, he boiled up anger that's resting inside really well, and he's also been in action movies before. I've been trying to think about what the name of it is for a long time. So I mean, he can get in shape for it. He can look the part. I think he could just play the part phenomenally. Never mind. I feel like he could play the part really good, and I think it could be one of the highlights of the Batman movies, especially if he's going toe to toe with Gerard Butler and Zac Efron. I just think it would work really well, and it's kind of a no-brainer for me. But
that's who I had next.
ooh,
yeah.
Who was it?
It was Iceman.
Can I suggest someone?
Sure, go ahead. I didn't have a backup, so.
Sam Claflin.
The guy who
what's
plays
he in? Finnick in Hunger Games.
Oh, yes.
I feel like he could pull that off really well.
I like that. That could work really well.
I think he could do Human Torch, but I mean, I feel like he could do both of them and just be fantastic.
But yeah, I really liked him in the Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
He did a really good job on
Honestly,
that.
honestly, Finnick is my favorite character in
Oh,
Hunger Games.
mine too.
Mm-hmm. But so
So,
is it back to me now?
yes.
Okay, my 17th pick is Batgirl slash Oracle or
Hmm.
Barbara Gordon. Now, a couple years ago, there was a rumor that Joss Whedon was going to make a Batgirl movie because this was right after Justice League,
Yeah.
which he helped make,
Was it
and
was
so
it a
he
TV show? Because
no,
I know
it
there
was
was
going
the
to be a
TV
movie.
show. Okay.
No, because there's a Batwoman TV show, but Joss Whedon was going to make a Batgirl movie,
Okay.
and the front runner for it was Emma Stone, who played Gwen Stacy in the Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man movies. Honestly, ever since that happened, I can't picture anyone else. She looks the part. She could pull off that's just so she's so smart and so capable and so independent. She can pull off that the nature of the character so well,
For sure.
and also just have her going toe to toe with, or having her as a love interest with Zac Efron just clicks, just works. I
Hmm.
don't know. It just I can't stop thinking about it ever since I thought of it, and it just work so well. Like I feel like they would have really good chemistry,
Oh yeah.
but
The next
pick your
person I
movies.
have is Rogue,
Mm-hmm.
and for Rogue, I don't know. Um, I think it could be really good with Haley Steinfeld as Rogue.
Mm-hmm. That's a good pick.
Hmm. I
Like,
watched what was that movie that she was in? Um, it's on Netflix. Hold on, let me try and find it real quick. It was really good. I liked it, and her performance in that too was really good. Ooh, that's not Netflix. Um, I don't, but like she's in Bumblebee as well, and
mm-hmm.
uh, but she has that like those parts in those movies where she is independent and going off of on her own, and it's The Edge of 17 is the movie that she's in. The Edge of 17.
Mm-hmm.
And in that movie, oh, she is very rebellious, and uh, the only person that she really trusts is one of her teachers. Uh, I don't know, maybe it's the English teacher or the history teacher or something, but like the dynamic that she has with Woody Harrelson as the teacher in that movie is really good. And I think, if Richard Armitage and Haley Steinfeld could build something like that, it would make a really good dynamic duo for whatever movie that is. So for
Well,
Rogue, I pick Haley Steinfeld.
she's another one of those actors that like or actresses that I am just absolutely surprised that she just hasn't been snatched for a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Like easily she could play Batgirl. Or she voiced Gwen Stacy in the Spider-Verse movie, I think. She could play Kate Bishop. She could play this. She could play that. I think she could literally pull off pretty much any superhero. But I think having her as Rogue, and like you said, like the dynamic with her and Richard Armitage, I feel like that would work really well.
Mhm. So that's who I pick for Rogue. So you're up.
Okay. My next pick for uh for this is Supergirl. And Supergirl, the TV show, has been successful. A lot of people like it, but honestly, I think it's just time for those movies to end, or not movies, those
Those
TV shows
shows,
to end.
for sure.
Because I mean, they're either just okay or they're just like, okay, wow, this is really terrible. There's really no in between, and it's just very frustrating to watch because they used to be so good. But I think Melissa Benoist has done an amazing job as Supergirl. She's defined the character because Supergirl is one of those characters that every time someone different writes her, she's
Hmm.
a little bit different or she's very vastly different. And I think Melissa Benoist has done a great job as portraying Supergirl.
Yeah.
But for the movies, this is one of the picks that I was just so proud of that I thought of, and it came out of the blue, and that's Ellie Fanning.
What's
I think
what's she
she's
in?
in Super 8. She plays the main girl in Super 8,
Oh,
and she
okay.
was in Maleficent playing Aurora, and she was also in Trumbo playing Bryan Cranston's daughter.
Hmm.
And I don't know, every time I see her in a movie, I'm like, oh, hey, it's Ellie Fanning, and she does an amazing job every time. I haven't seen a movie where she hasn't been doing like something amazing, and I don't know. I feel like she's one of. It's weird because she gets a lot of parts in movies, but I feel like she's really underrated,
Yeah.
and I feel like she could pull off that nature of Supergirl of just wanting to save people and then having to kind of live up to Superman, even though she's always been the older cousin to Superman.
Yeah.
And I really think her and Henry Cavill could really make something special with it. I feel like they would have really good chemistry. But yeah, that's my pick for Supergirl.
All right. The next person I have up is Nightcrawler, and I think
Mhm.
that Riz Ahmed could pull off Nightcrawler. Now,
Uh, now
he's
who's that?
he's the the pilot or whatever in Rogue One with the Boar
Ooh.
Gullet, and he gets killed by the grenade and everything. But I think he would
Mhm.
work really well for Nightcrawler.
Yeah. That's a good pick. That's something I would have never thought of. But um my next pick is for Carrie Kelly. Carrie Kelly Robin. Uh she was Robin in The Dark Knight Returns. And I think because they've hinted at Jason Todd being dead, and if he comes back as Taron Egerton as Red Hood, I honestly think it would be a better choice for the movies if they don't do Tim Drake and they do Carrie Kelly instead.
Hmm.
Because I mean, with Ben Affleck's Batman, really, they really took a lot of inspiration from The Dark Knight Returns, and I feel like just Gerard Butler and a Carrie Kelly Robin would just work better. And for Carrie Kelly, I want to pick Caitlin Denver. Caitlin Denver, I think, is one of the most underrated young actresses. She was in The Last Man Standing, which was a TV show with Tim Allen, so
Yeah.
she can go toe to toe with bigger actors. And she played like a tomboy in that show, and I feel like she has the sarcasm and the tomboy